It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. We know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 373. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
Hello.
Hello. So I guess let's maybe just start with announcing the winner. The
Let's
person that,
do it.
That did all the things for the bingo.
All the things.
And then sent the thing in right. And then we put all the names in a hat. And then for some reason we spun a wheel. And selected a winner.
We did. And the winner is, do you want to do a drum roll? Since I am incapable, apparently, of drum rolling.
Drum roll.
That's it. That's better. And the winner is Allison Cohen. Okay, you can stop.
Oh, you didn't really specify when I should stop.
I thought it was obvious.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I've never drum rolled before.
Never?
No.
Seems unlikely. I've seen
Congratulations,
you play.
Allison.
Yes, congratulations, Allison. You have won a brand new Bose Roam speaker.
Sonos Roam.
What did I say, Bose?
You keep saying Bose, but it's Sonos.
I don't know why.
I don't know what either, but
yeah, it's definitely Sonos.
Yeah.
My bad. Eh,
so we will be getting your address and shipping that out to you.
we will.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you for everyone who played along.
Yes. That was a long game.
It was a long game and a lot of workouts.
A lot of work.
So I don't know what fun thing we'll come up with next.
I don't know. Let's give it a minute.
Yeah. Take a beat.
Yeah.
So what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we have part 2 of our Ross Rayburn book club interview. So we will be airing that. We also have a bunch of in the news items from Peloton. There's some really fun stuff on the list this week, like Peloton employee winning a gold at Olympics.
Look at
that. We have the Peloton bike being removed from the rental program. This weird outage that occurred we have to talk about. New events that are popping up. Hotels being added. There's just a whole bunch of stuff. Also, we have a visit from Angelo from MetPro, and we're going to talk about when you're looking at a strength class, how to tell if that class focuses on endurance or hypertrophy.
Okay, which I think is really important, especially because it seems like more and more people are starting to get into the strength training.
Absolutely.
With Peloton.
No, I totally agree. And then we also have a bunch of in the news for instructors. And then we have artist series. We have, I'm sorry, this whole story about Strava is hilarious.
That's really weird.
I can't wait to talk about that. Celebrity sightings, past guest updates. And then there's, in case you missed it, new content. Lots of stuff coming up.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. Super helpful. It's greatly appreciated. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page. Join the group. It's a great way to stay up to date on things throughout the week.
It is.
And it's a way to, communicate with us, communicate with other listeners.
Yeah.
Especially the group.
The group is really
good for that.
Yeah.
You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/theclipout. Obviously, lots of work goes into something like this, and there are lots of expenses. And if you have a little extra money, wouldn't mind throwing $5 a month at helping the show, that is certainly welcome. And what do you get for your $5? You get ad-free episodes. You get, if we get it early, you get it early, and you get extra content. We record an extra bonus episode every week with another 15, 20, 25 minutes, depending on how much is going on in the world of Peloton, what weird stuff is going on in our lives, how gabby we are.
Yeah. All of that does take... It does play.
Yeah, last week's was pretty long. I think it was like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and again, it's just a nice way to help keep the articles coming and the lights on and the web Wi-Fi working.
Yeah.
So, and then of course you can watch all of these over on YouTube at youtube.com/theclipout. And then finally, don't forget our newsletter that you can sign up for at theclipout.com, where we will send you a weekly reminder, mostly weekly reminder, that we exist with, and it has all the links and stuff that we talk about every week in the show. You don't have to go hunting them down.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to fact check us, see if we're completely full of shit.
You could do that too.
One of us is,
That's you.
but that's not the person who picks the stories. So you will not catch us. So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
We learned this week that the Peloton bike has been removed from the rental program.
Yeah. Which is fascinating.
So you can only rent the Bike Plus.
I mean, there's other items you can rent, but as far
Like
as the
a guide
bike,
for a nickel a week.
You can actually rent the treadmill, the Tread Plus. You can rent those over there as well, but no longer the original bike. And I heard. Well, I shouldn't say I heard. I saw on one of the many Facebook groups I follow this week that somebody was surprised that these old tablets are being discontinued. They're no longer having like support. And that makes me think that there are still people out there that have not heard that about a year ago,
Right.
Peloton said that like anybody with a Quartz tablet was going to no longer be able to access any of the content after a certain date. And we've reached that time frame.
Right.
We have an article out on our website about that. But the reason that I bring that up is because I can't help but wonder if these things are the beginning of the end for the original bike, that they're phasing it out slowly.
So do you, by the end of the bike, do you mean that the original bike will go away and there will be a new updated version of Bike versus Bike Plus?
Nope.
Or that we will know that you see a future where there is no better, best option, the Bike Plus just becomes the bike?
I do, but I will also say with the caveat that there's still no firm leadership in place, like a long-term plan. And so it's kind of hard to tell what their new strategy is going to be. I really feel with Barry, when he was the leader, that he was very much like, let's ixnay all of the hardware. Like he wanted to become software only.
Right.
He wanted to become, let's focus on subscriptions.
And that seemed a bridge too far to me, to have no physical
I would
presence.
agree with that, but I would also say he did have some logic to the fact that it's like, okay, but you can't do research and development on everything. You can't grow everything at once. So you
Right.
can't grow internationally and add more products and add better software options all at the same time, especially when you're already hurting on cash.
Right.
So that makes sense to me too. And right now we're kind of in this in-between space where we don't really know what the company wants to focus on now.
Yeah.
We just know where Barry left things.
Right.
So that's why I see it as, for now, I believe that they might be narrowing things down where there will be a bike-only path. That is what I believe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. And maybe just in the short term, they're like, we're making no decision, and that making more bikes is a decision. So they're just going to be like, we're just going to leave it alone. Those are sunsetting.
Yeah.
And so we'll let the next guy figure out if we're going to fire that back up.
Well, and I kind of think that maybe they're kind of eventually trying to go from that better best down to just one.
This is what we got.
Because, we talked about a while back too, that like if they were going to keep the Tread Plus, that they were probably going to need to relaunch that.
Right.
In the next year or two. And no word on that. Not
Yeah.
saying that's really happening, but that logically makes sense to me because the hardware and software that goes in, well, especially the hardware that goes into a Tread Plus is from 2018.
Right.
So at this point, it's 5 years old already. I think it's probably time to think about jazzing it up,
Oh, dear. Mm-hmm. You're going to want that one.
Oh, yeah.
The Tread Plus Plus.
Well, it's got to have a name first. We don't even know.
It's the Tread Plus Plus. I just named it.
You just named it?
Yeah.
Is that what it's going to be
That's what
called?
they're going to call it. The Tread Double Plus?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, that's what I think. But if they did that, then like there's a lot of people that can't afford the room or the money for a Tread Plus. So I think that's where I'm not sure that makes sense.
I feel like with the Tread, I think that they either have to keep both, or they could only have a regular Tread, because there are so many people that it's not even about they can't afford it. They just physically can't accommodate.
Well, that's what I
Tread
meant
Plus.
about afford, that it was the space and the money that
Right.
like people fall into one of those two groups. A lot of people fall into one of those two
Yes.
groups. I will also say that I very clearly remember more than one Peloton employee saying to me that people have never been more adamant about their love for a product than the Tread Plus. And that means to me, you would keep that product. If people are that engaged and they love it that much, I cannot see a world where you just discontinue that.
I think it makes more sense to have the Tread and Tread Plus than it does to have the Bike and Bike Plus.
I will agree with that as well.
I feel like the differentiations between the Bike and the Bike Plus are kind of minimal. If you've never owned one before, I think a consumer just entering the space is very confused about what the difference is. And then ultimately, the price differential between the two isn't radical. You know, unlike the price differential between a Tread and a Tread Plus. So, like, I do think there are a lot of people that are like, boy, even if they have the room, are like, boy, I love the Tread Plus, but oof, I don't know that I want to drop that on it. I'm just going to get a Tread. But I think that maybe this is what they're seeing, that a good chunk of people, if they've already decided to get a Peloton bike, and they see the price differential between the Bike and the Bike Plus, they're like, you know what? I'm just going to get the Plus.
I do think that that's the way it is. And I said at the time when I bought the Bike Plus, I felt like it was future-proofing my ability to have that for as long as possible.
Right.
And you had that trade-in program at the beginning whenever they first released it. And to me, that was the best deal. Like, to go ahead and do that early on was the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Although they've lowered and increased prices so much, I have no idea if that's still true.
For sure.
I cannot keep track of the math on that.
There is so much price fluctuation lately that it's like the stock market.
They've
Who
been
knows?
they've stopped moving for like a while now. It's been a while, but there
Well,
was
that's good.
there was a time frame where it was like
Yeah.
every 2 months they were moving.
For sure. Yeah.
So
Well, this will be interesting to watch to see
It
what
sure
this
will.
portends for the future of the bike.
absolutely.
We had a Peloton employee win Olympic gold.
I mean, this is just crazy. You know,
It's crazy that it's not an instructor.
it is crazy that it's not an instructor. Yeah, he won for rowing. That's
Yeah.
what he won for. But his job title at Peloton is it's transportation department as a senior planner. So he's on the logistics and operations side.
Huh.
So, wow. As helper B, Nikki said, he transported his ass right to that winner's podium.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, that's just incredible.
Well, obviously that's a team sport, we should say, right?
Well, of course.
So other people were
Absolutely.
doing that with him, but
Yes.
but still.
Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes, but that's so amazing. Like just
Especially
like,
because one of the rowing instructors tried out and
Yeah.
didn't quite make it.
yeah, he's an Olympic. Like he's been to the Olympics before. Alex has.
Gotcha.
And that's the rowing instructor you're talking about.
Yeah.
And he didn't make it this time on the rowing team. But yeah, Nick Mead did. Nick Mead made it onto the team, and it's just kind of like. Does Nick not want to be part of the instructor team? Like, is he a shy person?
Yeah, I was going to
Like,
say, just because you have the physical abilities doesn't necessarily mean you have the public speaking abilities or desire to
Exactly.
be a front-facing employee. Because my first thought was the same one. Why isn't he an instructor? And I'm like, oh, well, he could be really good at something at that, but not want to get up in front of people and teach every day.
Absolutely. But it was really nice. Peloton posted about it, and they should be celebrating this everywhere. It's really cool. And I think it's a huge congrats to Nick Mead. I also think it would be really cool if they had some kind of class where he did a class with the rowing
Yeah.
instructors. How fun would that be?
That would be cool.
I think that, they should.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Get to ride, or you get to row with an Olympic champion.
So we had a weird outage issue with on-demand classes this week.
Yeah, it was really odd. Like if you pulled up the app, it just said no classes found. Like just none. There are none. And it was
People were
very
like, "Oh my God, it's true! Peloton is going out of business."
they're
I had to change my leaderboard name to Chicken Little.
I know that it will shock you to hear that some people did panic. But it wasn't just in one area. I don't know what this really means.
Right.
But it happened in the US, it happened in Canada, it happened in the UK, because we had people from all over our tipster team and because our team's international now.
Right.
So we all could not get to it. And I don't know if that just means, hey, a Peloton server was down.
Right.
And it just couldn't get the information out. I don't know. But they had it back up within like an hour. And I think the most strange thing that I found about it was usually when something's not working, you can go over to the status page and find out about it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't there. There wasn't anything there till they had it fixed, which I thought was just bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
That's very weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go.
So both PSL and PSNY are hosting a Pace Targets event.
They are.
Which is weird because Pace owns Kmart, but then Target is a competitor. So it's fascinating that they would work together like that.
Yeah. It's real fascinating.
You don't sound as fascinated by this as I am.
Because you're silly. So the thing that I find interesting about this is that they are doing this at PSNY and, like you said, London, 2 different days. August 15th will be the New York date and London date will be August 16th. I also find it interesting that they're doing like a behind the scenes look. They're kind of like unveiling it. And I feel like that's interesting. They also are going to be explaining how to incorporate it in your training routine. This is an in-person event at Peloton Studios, New York. You cannot join it online. And actually both of the locations. And I just find that whole thing fascinating. I don't know if they're just trying to get people to use it, this is just very different for Peloton. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, what's the point of doing something that you can only do in person for a company like Peloton?
I don't know. I find the whole thing really strange.
Yeah.
Really strange.
I would concur.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, but it's weird to me.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they're going to do that. They're going to have a demonstration. They're going to talk about where you can find the Pace Target classes on the tread. They're going to talk about how they're producing classes specifically for the Pace Targets. And they're also going to talk, like I said, about how you can use those Pace Targets to improve your fitness. So another thing I have that's weird about this to me, that it's in person, is that you can only take these classes on your tread.
Right.
So it's weird that you have to leave your house to go do this demonstration.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they're going to do it in the treadmill area. I don't know. I have no idea. But because they are going to have a demonstration.
Right.
I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm just baffled.
Yeah, it's just confusing.
It is.
Well, if we figure it out, we will let people know.
We will.
So in an article on
Athlete Tech. That's what we're going to call it.
Okay, because if you look at it, it's not spelled that way.
I know.
It's like
Athletech.
Athletech. It's like athlete and tech, but they don't have the E.
They're
twice.
merging.
It's a portmanteau.
Yes. Yes, it is.
How's that for a fancy word?
It's very fancy.
Yeah. So Athletech.
You've been talking to Ross Rayburn with those big words.
I know a big word or two.
I know you do. I was just joking.
Anyway, they have an article about free motion fitness and blah, blah, blah. But buried in that article, it talks about the fact that Hyatt has signed a deal and they're adding Pelotons to 800 locations.
Well, that is fascinating. I thought that Voco Hotel was also adding them.
Oh, well, I just did a Control F on Peloton when you included the article, and that's what I found in it that I thought was Peloton related.
Oh, well.
But it says Hyatt has, maybe this is just in the UK, since it's, talking about Free Motion, which is a UK-based fitness thing, but it says Hyatt is adding.
Yeah, I guess this probably isn't new then, because I think we already knew about the Hyatt
Did
deal.
we?
Yeah, like it was a while back. Yeah, it's like last
You're
year.
not thinking of Hilton?
No, Hilton's really old, but
Okay.
But I think they did Hyatt last year too.
I can't keep track anymore.
I thought this was another one, and I thought it was specifically the UK.
Right.
And that's the only reason I included it. I should read these better.
We got a lot going on.
We do.
And day jobs.
Yes. There's that.
It actually pays.
Whoopsie doodle. Sorry. If you missed it, Peloton teamed up with Hyatt.
Wait till you find out about Tread Plus. Crystals is getting delivered any day now.
Fourth quarter.
Before the fourth quarter. So Lululemon has added sometime in the last 8 years new perks for members. One of them is Peloton related.
Well, okay, so the Peloton everybody already knows about. Like, I think that's information everybody has.
Okay.
The reason that I included this is because I thought it was fascinating how many things are included in the Lululemon Essential membership. So if you don't know about the Peloton deal, they have this thing called Partner Perks. And when you sign up for their Essential membership, it's free. It's easy to join. You just add your name and email address. And then you get a bunch of benefits. Some of those are you can have exchanges or credit on sale items. You get invited to membership only events, receipt-free returns, early access to product drops, free hemming, and free Peloton classes in the Lululemon app. So in August, what is going to be added, what was just added, are they have 10% off of Barry's Boot Camp. They have, you can join Lifetime Fitness. You can get a 60-day free trial on the Peloton app. You can sign up for a 1-month free trial for ClassPass. You can get $5 off your first purchase on the Sweetgreen app. You can save 50% on La La Land's Lulu Latte. I know, it's really exciting. So then the ones that you probably care a little bit more about, AG1, that I love.
Right.
Okay, well, first time subscribers get 10 free travel packs. And then Aura Ring, if you have that, you get a free 6-month membership to go with your ring. And Hyper Ice, you can get 20% off the brand's Hypervolt Go 2 and then 15% off of everything else. That's a lot of perks.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of it's basically just like try this thing that's going to cost you more money down the road, but it's a way to try it, I guess.
It is. And it's kind of interesting because Lululemon is like funneling them and they're all fitness and health related.
Right.
That feels worth mentioning.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if there's going to be other companies that follow suit.
If it works. Mm-hmm. Coming up after this, we're going to talk to Angelo. If you are just now starting your strength training journey and you're a little confused about endurance and hypertrophy and what is what and which classes are doing what so you can get
the most bang for your buck.
Right. Get what you want out of these classes. Angelo will walk you through how to figure out if a class focuses on endurance or hypertrophy. So stick around.
The Clip Out.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Angelo from MetPro here to answer all of your fitness and nutrition questions. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, my friends. Good to see you again.
Good
Likewise.
to see you too. Now, the question I'm going to ask, I know why this person is asking, and it is very Peloton related, but I know that you can help us come up with some good ways to answer this. So in the Peloton world, they will label everything in a strength class as strength. So it doesn't break things down like the most that it breaks things down is body weight or body types. Connie's life choices, that's her leaderboard name, is she is looking for how to know when a strength class is more of an endurance strength or cardio versus hypertrophy or strength building. And so they don't really label them like that in the Peloton world. And I know that's why she's asking. So curious if you have any thoughts on that.
This is actually a really fascinating subject. So the main reason for confusion is because we invented, really back in the 60s, this became a thing. we invented 60s, 70s, this concept of reps.
Uh-huh.
So, 3 sets of 10 reps. And now, so is it higher reps? So is that cardio or is that strength training? Lower, that's strength, right? So, but the concept of reps is not really a thing. Really what it is it's a way for us to measure the time under tension. So to create a hypertrophic environment, to build muscle, what you want to do is bring your muscles to failure or really close to it. And there's a ton of new research coming out that's actually confirming that it is reaching that point of failure or fatigue, real close to it. And you can actually build muscle in the higher and lower rep ranges. It's just a lot more painful to do in the higher rep ranges. So most people that are doing a higher rep range, they're stopping because they're tired, not necessarily a muscle group is absolutely reached failure. So what we find is the research points to anything where your muscles are failing in less than about 60 seconds has a hypertrophic component. In other words, it will elicit some muscle development. However, for maximal muscle development, typically you're going to pick an activity that brings your muscle to failure in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds just happens to coincide with about 10 to 12 reps for most movements. And that's where we got that rep range from. So what you can do is when you're looking at or experiencing those Peloton workouts, if you are doing an activity that includes weights, but it is not bringing your muscles to failure or very close to it, rather you're just moving through exercise and movements that are working muscles, but it's more just exhaustion over time, that will absolutely condition. Sometimes you hear the word tone, although that's really a media marketing made up term. What really is tone? But it will work the muscles to a degree, but you can pretty much guarantee you're not gonna build a lot of muscle mass in that environment compared to if you're getting off the Peloton and you're picking up a set of weights and you're doing, whether it's 10, 15, 20 or more reps, but in less than about a minute, bringing a muscle group to failure, that's definitely strength. That's definitely hypertrophic, and you're achieving what I think, from what I'm hearing, you're aiming for. Now, to give you a little idea of how we categorize workout modalities at MetPro, we have 3 categories that we consider leaning towards the aerobic side, and then 3 categories that we consider leaning towards the hypertrophic or strength side. So the extreme aerobic category is endurance or bicycling or running, things along those lines. Then what you have is something like cardio circuits, where you're moving constantly but never really bringing a muscle group to failure. Then you have something like interval training or high intensity interval training. You're doing an all-out push for 30 to 90 seconds. That can be, to a degree, hypertrophic, but it's still mostly in the aerobic category. Then you kind of cross that threshold to where it's dominantly strength, and that's going to be your actual cross training that includes weights, your strength training, and your power lifting. Instead of cardio circuits, strength circuits, where you're lifting weights. So think about when you're doing your activity, what it's included, and then you'll know how far into the anaerobic or strength side you're leaning versus just the aerobic.
Excellent. It was a very good breakdown.
I think that's probably why I like strength training better, because the faster you fail, the better you're doing. That's what I heard. So
Leave it to Tom.
I don't like to brag. I fail really quickly. Really, really quickly. So, not to toot my own horn, but toot.
Oh my gosh.
I love your take on tone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of a joke. You always hear people say that tighten and tone. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, that's not really a thing.
It's like the strength training equivalent of zesty.
right?
Like you think you know what it means, but ultimately it doesn't,
It doesn't
really
really
mean
mean
anything.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marketing makes people think it's the sweet spot where you have enough but not too much.
Yeah.
And your body biologically doesn't really respond that way. That's like saying, well, I only want to drive 60 miles an hour on the highway, so I'm going to go really slow to get there. No, if you want only a little bit of muscle, train for that little bit of muscle optimally for muscle, and then stop or move into maintenance once you achieve that, instead of just doing an activity that's inefficient to get there. So if you do want some strength, push those muscles to muscular fatigue or failure, and then simply move into maintenance once you have as much muscle as you want. And that's kind of where the whole concept of tone comes from. It's not really a thing. It's actually a state of having blood pumped into your muscles and it looks good. That's tone. You're always going to get some of that when you exercise.
What I hear him saying is tone is you're half-assing.
Tom said it, I didn't. But there's truth to that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that. If people would like this sort of stuff tailor-made for their fitness journey, where can they find you and or Crystal?
You can find us at metpro.co/TCO.
Wonderful. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Instructors in the news.
So everybody's talking about the Olympics, but in the middle of all this, there was the USA Cycling National Championships.
Yes.
And Christine D'Ercole won a gold medal there.
Yet another. How many of these does she have now?
At least
it's all
2.
No, she's got a ton.
Well, I said at least.
I'm just saying, I can't even imagine having that many gold medals. But it's really cool. And these championships, they go on for a long time. Like they last for like days.
Yeah.
So she's still in the middle of it while we're recording. So there are probably more medals to come.
Even more medals
Even more
happening
medals.
as we record this.
Yes. But she's saying that they're aiming to finish the racing on Saturday. So we'll see how the weather holds and if that's possible. But congrats to Christine.
Absolutely. While we're recording this, she is winning more medals and Hyatt is adding more Pelotons.
Well, one of those is true.
Matt Wilpers popped up on TV. He was on the New York Living show.
He was, and he was talking all about the tips for running in the hot weather. And there are a lot of places right now that can use these tips.
Yeah, I bet.
I talked to a lot of people across the United States, and it's miserable in a lot of them.
Was his tip, buy a Peloton tread. Thanks for tuning in.
No, he was like, there are hot weather running tips. This was specific for running outside in the heat. You know, things like making sure that you have lots of water, that you're well hydrated, you go a little bit slower in the heat, things like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's really cool that he was able to be part of this and give such great advice to people.
Just a friendly reminder to everyone that Susie Chan's book is now available for purchase in the United States.
Can I talk about
No.
how great it is? Oh my God, I love this book so much. Now, I still have a little bit of the book left to read,
Right.
but I have read most of the book at this point. And the stories, I don't want to tell spoilers for anybody,
Right.
but the stories in this will like change your view on these races, because the way she approaches them in no way is something that I could do. I will just say that the way that I pick apart everything and have to have a plan for everything and worry about everything is the exact polar opposite of Susie Chan.
Yeah.
And it makes it even more inspiring, the things that she's accomplished, because there wasn't a checklist.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You're like, no checklist. What are you, Tom?
I mean, I just can't even believe it. And I also did not know the health struggles that she's had. I didn't know her proposal story, which I'm not going to spoil, but
Okay.
it's in the book. And this whole book has been so delightful, and it is delivered with Susie's typical way of telling stories, which is to say so humble and obvious. Like,
Yeah.
she just acts like it's another day. Oh, did I just break a world record? I mean, whatevs,
What you gonna do?
right? Right? Did I just have a major health scare and have to go to the hospital and have emergency surgery? You know, just all a day in the life of Susie Sheehan.
Well, you did that one.
That's true. It's very different from her experience, though. Yeah, it's very different. But man, I mean, just so inspiring and so delightful. It's just a great book. So if you haven't got a chance to read it, I highly recommend you do. You can find the link on my website if you can't find, like, on our website.
Yeah.
And you can also find it, my link in bio, on Instagram.
And right now you can get it on your Kindle for $10.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. It wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah, when I looked at it today, it was $9.99 for Kindle.
Ooh. Well, it's a great book. Well worth it.
Coming up after this, we're going to tell you the latest artist series. It features someone who just broke a record at Lollapalooza.
Whoa.
And I'll tell you what that record is after this.
Peloton artist collaborations.
The latest artist series features Chappelle Roan.
Yeah, and okay, so I have never heard of Chappelle Roan in my life, but I was listening to a Spotify playlist the other day, and I had like told it to put it on something. I don't even remember what it was that I told it to put it on, and it randomly brought up Chappelle Roan.
First off, there is nothing random about the Spotify algorithm.
It's fair.
Okay.
It's fair. But randomly to me.
Okay.
And it even played the Hot to Go song, which is her big hit that everybody loves.
Okay.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fun. It's a great song, and it's not something that would be like on my adult radar, but if I were younger, this would totally be something I would listen to. And I'm sure I still will, just to be very
Yeah.
clear. How fun is that?
Yeah, and she was just at Lollapalooza, and she swapped set times and locations with Kesha.
Oh.
And they moved her to the main stage.
Oh.
But in the daytime, and they said, this is the record she broke, it was the largest attendance ever for a daytime main stage performance.
You go, Chappelle
Yeah.
Roan. That's so cool.
So look at that.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of classes, 7 different classes that are coming out. So
Well,
yeah,
they snagged her just in time.
they sure did. Good for her. And that's a good deal for Peloton, too.
Yeah.
Other connected fitness.
You came across an interesting post this week about Strava jockeys.
This is fascinating.
This
Like,
is so dumb.
So, okay. If you need to make some extra cash, you can become a Strava jockey.
Well,
What
I
is-
can't.
Okay, well, I'm talking to the listeners.
Oh, okay.
And what you do is you log into other people's accounts and do their workouts for them, and they get the credit.
And for why?
For why? Because they are, in most cases, according to this, they are people who are busy professionals that don't have time to dedicate to their workouts. So they want everyone to think that they're working out, and so then they do. And it's things like, especially if they're doing competitions, like maybe there's like a walking competition at their work, or maybe there is a marathon they're training for, things like that.
Well, I get if there's a competition at work, even though it's bad and you shouldn't do it. But I at least understand that. But like having someone else train for your marathon,
Seems real stupid.
at some point you're going to have to run that marathon, and your body's going to say, well, you
Whoopsie.
didn't train.
Yeah, it is. Also, I would never make any money at it because the faster you are, the more your rates go up.
Right. Like if I saw that if you want them to have better times and you have to pay them more. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, to what end?
They want the social currency from this.
Oh my God.
And it actually started as a joke.
Yeah.
But then it caught on. It caught on.
And you know what sucks is that these are probably like CEOs, movers and shakers in companies that are decision makers. And I'm like, if this is a decision you make, you shouldn't be allowed to make decisions on behalf of a company.
I actually very much
You-
agree with that.
You're going to make dumb decisions because you just did.
Yeah.
And
It's-
shady.
It is shady.
And shady for no reason.
Yeah, because no one cares. It's your Strava. Why do you care what other people
Do
think
people
that
really
much?
go through and look at other people's
Oh yeah,
Strava?
people do. People do. They definitely do.
I could give a shit. Like,
Well,
why
you don't have a Strava, Tom.
But I mean, I don't care what other people are
I know you
what
don't.
their exercise regimens are. Who cares?
I would have to agree. I mean, I just do my thing. It's
I'm just
not
like
that.
all these people that are paying someone. I'm like, you probably have like 2 people that actually look at it.
Well, I just can't imagine not only the caring part of it, but also just like all the work you have to put into it to figure out the logistics of how many miles that pretend person is going to do
Yeah.
or whatever, and then you have to set aside a budget for it. Like, I don't know. That seems like more work than just going out and doing it. And I would feel gross. Like, I could
Yeah.
never post something like
and
that.
then if you do it long enough, at some point people will just look at you and be like, "Oh, bullshit."
Well, there's lots of skinny people that everybody thinks are fit that aren't.
Yeah, I
So-
guess.
And that's been going on
Just
for
like-
years.
I don't know. I could hire Adrian Williams to do a tonal workout for me, but nobody's
Your
gonna.
strength score will go up.
Nobody would believe it.
Yeah. I just thought this was endlessly fascinating.
Yeah, and endlessly stupid. So,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Like I said, started as a joke
Oh goodness,
and then caught on.
what are you gonna do?
Peloton celebrity sightings.
Spoilers for Wolverine Deadpool coming your way here.
Yes,
So
yes.
if you haven't seen it yet and it matters to you, probably fast forward a minute and a half or 2 minutes or something. But the movie made like,
$1 bazillion.
I think it's already made like $500 million domestic.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was fun. But so like I think if you care, you've seen it. But anyway, Jennifer Garner pops up in the movie to play Elektra once more. And
She does.
the reason we're telling you this is she's posted on her Instagram her training to get, I wouldn't say back in shape like she wasn't in shape, but to get it. She said, I was in shape, but I wasn't in Marvel shape.
Yes.
Which is a very different thing.
Yeah.
And so she posted a video of all the things she did. And one of the things she was doing was Peloton.
And I was also surprised and saddened to realize that it was 2004 the last time she was Elektra.
Yeah.
Because it didn't seem that long ago.
You know, it was very long ago.
20 years?
It was so long ago that was the soundtrack that made Evanescence famous.
What?
That's the movie that Back to Life was Bring Me Back to Life was on.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my
It was
God.
featured on the sound back when movies had soundtracks.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was like one of the last big movies that had an honest to God soundtrack with artists you've heard of, like that had new songs that weren't just like compilation. Like Deadpool probably has a soundtrack or a playlist, but it's all songs you already know, right?
they actually do, and Spotify is pushing it out. Like it's
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. They have a whole
but
channel.
it can't have Like a Prayer on it. Madonna
Really?
wouldn't let them do it.
That's funny.
She'd let them have it in the movie, but they couldn't put it on the soundtrack, and they couldn't even put it on a Spotify playlist
Why does she care?
because she's got like some 40th anniversary or however old that song is coming out for
Oh,
it, and so she
okay.
didn't want to cut into that. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is a little bit of a different crowd.
Yeah.
But anyway,
This movie was great. This video was great that she did. I loved seeing her workout routine, and it was a lot of fun. And for those of you who weren't aware, Jennifer Garner has been a Peloton user for years,
long time.
and she's also like super great friends with Chelsea Jackson Roberts,
Oh.
and they post meditations together all the time.
Yeah.
Like they are really good friends. So. Jennifer Garner is a friend of Peloton, and we wish that we were her friends because she's freaking awesome. And she has one of the best lines in the movie.
She does.
So that's all I'll say about that.
Past guest update.
So there's I guess kind of a lot of past guest updates in this segment because we got Lori Condon
Mm-hmm.
and Jen's Men, and we've interviewed a good chunk of them.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. And they are doing the 8th annual Spin for a Cure.
I can't believe it's 8th annual.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they typically do is they take over the studio for a class. And a lot of times this is in April, but because there was a bunch of time, maybe it's June, but usually they do it at a different time of year. But Jen was out due to vacation. So they pushed it. By the time everybody could make it happen, it was going to be September. So this will be taking place September 8th, Sunday, September 8th. There's going to be a live class at the Peloton studio. Obviously, JSS is teaching it.
Sure.
And Spin for a Cure is going to auction off several bikes. The idea is to break last year's goal. It was a record.
So by bikes, you mean a seat in the class, not a bike.
I do mean that.
I just want
yes.
to clarify.
No, that's a great point.
The lawyers in my ear were like, hey,
wait a second.
you need to shut her down or we're going to have to give away bikes.
Yeah.
And we've done that.
We have.
And it was a shit show.
We are not shipping bikes. So you can do a few things. You can join the team that exists for Jensman. You can just decide to donate to the team. You can try to bid for one of these bikes. And by the way, it is not cheap. But the cool part is all of the money goes straight to the Alzheimer group, this organization. And they do it because they want to end Alzheimer's.
Awesome. Well, go for them.
Yeah, very cool.
Past guest Sarah Confino. So I'm trying to remember, did we actually interview her or was she just book club?
I was going to say, technically, this is not a past guest if you are a clip out purist. However,
if there's only two of them and both of them are you.
However, if you followed along with our book club, then you already know about Sarah Confino, who is an amazing author. I read her book and that we did for the book club, and it was so good and
one of
so
the ones
fun.
I actually read.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And she was a great guest, but she posted this week that of all people, Snoop Dogg was reading her book.
Yeah,
and I just thought that was freaking
got
delightful.
A picture of him on the interwebs, just sitting there lounging and reading a Sarah Confino book.
On a plane. And if you don't know, Sarah Confino is not only an amazing author, she's also a Peloton user.
Yes.
So when we are telling you about this, it is because she does Peloton.
Yeah. And
So-
we meant to reach out to her after the book club to have her back on as a guest, and then we just got
did.
sidetracked. So
Yes.
we should do that.
We should do
I'll
that.
add that to your to-do list. You're welcome.
Thanks.
That's what I'm
Why don't
here
you
for.
take one on?
What's that?
A to-do.
I put the list in order every week. That's my to-do list. And I make you make that noise. That is also on my to-do list. And I do that a lot. That's something I do often. So
Sydney has the this new sigh. Let me see if I can recreate it.
I'll have to work on getting some of those out of you. See? I added something to my to-do list.
Yay!
You're welcome.
New content.
Let's talk TCO top 5. You tell us your favorite classes, and then we tell them back to you. So just jumping right in, the first one, and nope, these are not in order of importance.
Not at all.
Just feel like I need to clarify that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Favorite cardio.
Okay, so this class was taught by Rebecca Kennedy on July 12th. It was a 30-minute low-impact cardio. Tiffany Cortez recommended this class. She said, it was so fun. It's a step workout and brought back all my memories from doing step classes in the 90s. She was so engrossed, she didn't even look at a clock. Now, I have to say, this particular class, people have been talking about it nonstop because she designed it in a way that you could actually use it with a step at home.
Okay.
She does not have one in the studio.
Right.
But you can use one at home and get the benefits
Yeah.
of using a step.
How about that?
And I have a feeling we might be seeing more of these in the future because
Interesting.
it was real popular.
This is the new product designs they're coming out with. Here's a box.
We're taking it back to the 90s, y'all.
We don't got to worry about updates or downloads. Here's a box. Step on it. Number 2, your favorite row.
Okay, so this class was taught by Alex Kurwoski, and it was on July 29th. It was a 30-minute endurance row. So Sarah Lester loved this. She said, if they gave out awards for exercise classes, this class would at least get a nomination. Even if you don't have a row, it's still worth listening to. Hold on.
That's a bold statement.
It gets confusing.
To quote
This is a little
Vincent
bit of
Vega.
a roller coaster with Sarah Lester. She got to hang in there.
Okay.
She says, at first, I was underwhelmed. While the first 25 minutes were interesting, I wasn't sure why he was talking about it, given we're in July. But then he wrapped it up with a brilliant bow in the last 5 minutes. I won't spoil the ending, but he was humble, thankful, funny, retrospective, and forward thinking all in one.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 3, your favorite walk run.
Okay, so this was taught way back. We're going in the archive.
Okay.
December 15th, 2020.
Do you got to wear a mask to take this class?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You do. Although it might get pretty exhausting. You're in your basement. I
Yeah.
don't think you have to wear a mask at home. We never had to do that at home. 60.
I did sometimes. I just wasn't sure about you guys.
Well, you never got COVID, so maybe that was the right call. This was a 60-minute walk plus run with Matt Wilpers and Christina Ribeiro. Little powerhouse. We haven't seen
remember.
her for a while. She said that she loved that this class can be taken on the tread or outside. She ended up taking it as an endurance ride outside. Run, not ride. She said that. I said it wrong. She learned so much from Matt about the benefits of walk, run approach during a long distance race with some tips added regarding conditioning, mobility, and strength. And as any other of Matt's classes, it was class. So the playlist is a journey, goes from the 70s all the way through the 2000s.
Okay. Number 4, your favorite bike theme class.
Okay, so this one was kind of a group. You know, sometimes we have these.
Right.
But Rockstalgia classes with Charlotte Weidenbach. Now, these classes are in German, but they are rock music. So if you haven't taken some German instructors, this is your hint to do that. So Susan New loves these classes because the music and Charlotte's presence are amazing. They're in German, but they have easy to follow German subtitles. There are currently 6 classes in this series, which you can find under collections on the Peloton platform, and each has an amazing playlist.
And finally, your unstackable.
All right. Now, again, this is a little bit of a stretch because it's a whole group.
Okay.
It's a strength series. So for Unstackable, any of the roll call classes with various instructors. They are on a daily schedule with past classes being available under collections. So you can take the guesswork out of picking your strength classes. They drop each week. Well, they were dropping each week. I don't think they drop anymore. But you will get a great workout for every part of the body, and you get to try different instructors. And Karen Marquez recommended these classes, saying she really likes them. And they have a bite-sized length, and you get a level of soreness that makes these unstackable.
Okay. And now let's take a look at what is going on or about to be going on this week at Peloton. We are celebrating, by we, I mean you guys, 10 years of Cody. Not that I'm against Cody. I just won't be taking a class.
I totally
To be
understand.
clear, people think I was shitting on Cody.
No.
I don't need that kind of heat.
No, you don't.
I don't need that smoke.
Send it the other direction.
Yes.
But there's going to be a special 30-minute pop ride on Friday, August 9th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And he is going to be celebrating an entire decade of fun.
Okay. Well, congratulations to him.
Yes, absolutely.
I was like, I wonder if Hallmark makes a card, but there are so many Peloton instructors, they probably will start.
It would be smart. Just get ahead of that.
We have Bollywood Pilates.
Yes. So on the 6th, these dropped a 20-minute Pilates class, which was led by Aditi dropped. And it's a great blend of fitness with cultural rhythm. And then that same day, they also had a 30-minute Disney 2000s ride with Cody. So another good Disney class.
And then finally, we have Rising Country.
Oh, I forgot to mention there was
Rising
also
Country?
that there was also a 20-minute Disney run with Marcel Dinkins.
They could combine that with this Ash Pryor class and have Rising Country Bear Jamboree.
I don't think anybody is really asking for that.
Don't you?
No.
Don't you shit on the Country Bear Jamboree?
Sorry.
This is an outrage.
Sorry.
What's next? You don't like the Tiki Room?
Just saying, I don't think that would be a great class. That's all. But there is going to be 4 new Rising Country classes, and they're going to be taught by Hannah Corbin, Leanne, Ash, and Matt. They're going to be on the bike and the row, so you're going to be able to get some new country classes.
But no jamborees.
No jamborees. Not a jamboree in sight.
So we talked last week about Rebecca Kennedy's 3-day split, and helper B Tina took it.
She did.
And gave us a little review so you know what to expect, see if it's worth your time.
Yeah, and the TLDR, as they say.
Yes.
It's awesome, and you're going to get super sore. And also, Rebecca has been listening to the feedback from everyone who's been taking the classes, and she's already been posting answers to questions and concerns and insights. So if you start taking these classes and you have some of these questions, you need to check out her Instagram because she's got answers to everything. 3 days a week, you're going to get a badge. It's great music. And there's also strategic warm-ups built in to prevent injury.
Peloton birthdays.
And we've got 2 birthdays this week, down from 5 last week.
Yeah.
That was craziness.
It was.
Talk about going to the Hallmark store. But coming
I
up...
buy in bulk.
Yeah.
For Leo season.
So coming up first, we have Christine Diercole on August 11th.
Yes.
And Rebecca Kennedy, or as I have here, Rebecca Kenny.
Don't worry, I fixed it in the notes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On August 13th.
Happy birthday to Rebecca and Christine.
To all 3 of them.
Clip out.
And coming up after this, well, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you don't have to wait at all. But if you're not, you're going to have a commercial. And then we will be playing part 2 of our book club with Ross Rayburn. So join us, won't you?
Peloton personnel.
This is not on the approved list, but I feel like I can ask it as a side note. Are you quite a reader, Ross? I feel like you read a lot.
I have at least 8 books going at one time.
Whoa. You have quite the vocabulary. That has come up a few times in my conversations with other people.
No, that's only because I have vocabulary toilet paper. There's a word on every sheet. It's amazing.
What was the word of the day today?
I'm kidding, Crystal. It's a joke. I don't actually have vocabulary. If someone wants to make it, I'll buy it. But I actually have that.
It sounds expensive.
It does sound expensive.
Plus, you wouldn't would you use one? I don't know.
That's a very good point. You might have to make a whole sentence before you could finish your business.
You know what? I do. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's actually a very kind compliment. I love words. I love etymology. And if anyone has... Raise your hand if you have kids. If you have kids that are studying for the SATs or in elementary or junior high, get them to Latin is great. That's what I studied and I did pretty well on my SATs. Study Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the top of the Indo-European chain. So all of Latin, all the other, they come from that. And so for instance, one of the words in the subtitle is authenticity. And again, this wasn't one of the questions, but I'll try to do the short version of this. You know, the sound om is actually ah, oo, and m. Ah is the sound of creation, like a baby crying. Oo, the letter U, is about refinement because you close your mouth and you make the sound oo. So in the arc of narration, ah, oo is sustenance and life. And the M is the denouement or the dissolution. It's one of the few consonants that you can actually sing. You can hum. And then there's actually a 4th sound called a turiya that's the silence between the next wave that's next om. But it's why M-A for the next om is all the mater, mother, material, anything to do with creation is M-A. And so for instance, and then one more thing, the letter T is a cross because it's time and space. It's actually time and space. And so anytime you have something that is like the word heart, or it's actually even fart, anytime you have RT, R is movement, T is a fixation in time and space. And so that's why A-U-T is A, creation, U, refinement, and T, a creation in time and space. So authentic, author, auteur, all of that is about creation, sustenance, and a fixated piece of art. And therefore, to live authentically is you become the author, the creation and the sustenance and the imprint of your life. You write your own story to be authentic.
Wow. It's all kinds
Study
of...
Sanskrit.
Well, let's see. I want to make sure we get some more of these questions in. From Mike Kohler.
I'll actually answer questions shortly, I promise.
You are hilarious. Mike Kohler asks, what is the most impactful experience you've had using meditation and yoga to get unstuck? Was the rest of that question. Sorry.
Tonight.
You weren't stuck tonight. I don't believe it.
No. I mean, I just mean the most impactful. No, I mean, I honestly, I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek. Whenever I used to travel the world and people would say, what's your favorite city? I would always say the city where I'm in.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I probably, again, to get unstuck, gosh, it's every day. Honestly, every day I feel stuck. I believe this is a practice that you have to do. You know the Sisyphean myth, everybody, where the Sisyphus was rolling the stone up the hill. When he got to the top, the stone would roll back down. And one of my favorite revelations ever was when I was studying with a professor, and he said, you know, the secret to the Sisyphean myth is that Sisyphus found joy in the rolling up of the stone. And that to me is, we ask those questions like being stuck as if it's a problem. When you really, like the blue pearl, I believe that when we remember that the blue pearl is there, and that we use these words like suffering, when we remember that all of this is a radical statement, and I don't want to say this cavalierly, because when you're in pain, this is not something that's appropriate to hear. So please do not take this out of context. But from a philosophical, theoretical place, as long as you're not in a place right now of trauma, if you are, do me a favor and look at this theoretically. But the radical view of this is that even in a moment of great pain, to be able to see that pain as a privilege, to still rise above it or go beneath it and find light. I mean, if you're a religious god or goddess in that pain, then when you're not in pain, the celebration of abundance is not only better, in my experience, it becomes about like this. Like, I'm now in a great place of abundance, and I'm in a room full of people that this is not about me. I don't feel like I'm in an ego moment right now. I feel like I'm in, especially with Peloton, I'm in a community that I get to share. And I believe that that's my perspective, and that I don't come at this from an ego place most of the time, to be fair, because I have done the work when things were really awful, and I do the work when things are really awful. So then when people come into the studio and I get to listen to them and their stories, I'm not jealous or fearful. I just know that we're connected, and I celebrate them. And so I give that unstuckness. That's why I believe you got to do it every day.
Well, speaking of things that you do every day, you've talked about kind of like when you were writing the book, and you've talked about like how you practice every day, and you talk about that in the book as well. But how did you personally find time to write with all of your other obligations?
You do. Well, that was not a hard part.
Okay. I was looking for some clarity to figure out how to be more efficient, Ross, for myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm probably not the best person to ask about that. It's like when I was nervous about getting a second dog.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when you love something, you find the time.
Yeah. No, that you're right. We'll do some rapid fire ones. This one comes from Gwen Dawson. Do you miss acting?
No.
Okay. This one comes from Amy Alstrom. Would you please consider doing more back to sleep meditations? There's only like 2 left on the platform.
It's not the right forum for that discussion.
Got it. Okay. This one comes from Elizabeth Franks. Do you have a favorite meditation on the app, whether recorded or done by somebody else, recorded by you or someone else?
I don't remember my meditations from yesterday. The way I do meditations, I never script any of my meditations. I plan them out for a couple of days. In the morning, I kind of like really go inside And again, I don't mean this pejoratively, but it's kind of woo woo, but I love woo woo. I basically ask like my teacher and all the teachers that have come before, what is the thing to do that is greatest service I can do today? Because if there's one thing I believe, there's a god called Hanuman. He's the monkey god. He's often shown ripping open his chest to expose his heart. He's in the Ramayana, which is one of the epic poems in India. I just think of Hanuman, like in this meditation, I'm going to rip open my chest, proverbially. And what is that meditation? And I honestly don't really know what I'm going to say until it comes out. And so if you ask me what my meditation was, I couldn't tell you what it was last time.
Well, whatever you're doing, it's working. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, and all credit to Sally Kimpton, who died last year, I call her my Yoda. She's back here behind me. Remind me to figure out what day she died, and the meditation that's on that day or the day after she died. If I had to pick one, that's the one I would go to. And I don't remember what day it was because it was the most powerful meditation I think I've ever taught, because her spirit she's an amazing, amazing being.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Margaret Robertson would like to know, how do you come up with the stories that you tell during your meditation? I feel like you just answered that.
Yeah, I do think of the stories before. So I do write all my own stories.
Okay.
A couple of times, like I've written, like at the time I told the story about the Chinese proverb, which is one of my favorite. But like if it sounds like a made up story, that's me creating a story based on an idea. Like if I want the idea to be about generosity, then I will. So there's a little bit of planning and letting go and letting the story be extemporaneous.
Kind of
so
a
that's
combination.
A little bit different.
Okay. Aaron would like to know, what is your favorite color?
I mean, I always say blue, but I don't know if that's true anymore. That's what it was as a kid. No, I don't know if I have one, to be honest.
All right. Debbie Pino would like to know what your fitness...
Oh, you know what? I know what I want to answer.
Okay.
I hate the color. There's a picture.
It wasn't what color do you hate?
No. Here's the thing. There's a color when I did my first photo shoot, and it was like, I called it the Captain Kirk green.
Yeah.
Remember Captain, kind of that color of his shirt in old school Star Trek?
Yeah.
And I got the shirt and I'm like, all right, somebody in wardrobe hates me because this is the worst color. And then the picture, they were so right. It's like one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. And it was like my skin tone and the lighting. I was like, damn it, that is a good color.
Were you kind of mad a little bit?
I was so happy because I was like, yeah, it just proves like you got to know what you don't know. You got to and this is one thing I really loved that I learned at Peloton, because I worked for myself for 20 years and I joined a team and I joined this beautiful organization that people do their job. That's it. But anyway, that's what I learned. I was like, there are people that are good at their job. Like, you don't have to do everything, Ross. Like, so that was a fantastic learning at the age of 48 at the time.
Wow. That's a really positive spin on that. I love that. Okay. Debbie Pino would like to know, what does your fitness routine look like currently?
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything. I always joke that when in the 90s, I had to come out as a weightlifter. Because at the time, yoga was like, people would so poo-poo lifting weights. And I've been lifting weights since college. So since 89. So yeah, I do everything.
So wait a minute.
I love rowing, by the way. If you all don't have the rower, like the rowing team, I mean, everybody on my team is wonderful. I love the rowing team so much. They're just such wonderful, beautiful people. The rower is great. I have a meniscal tear that it's tough for me when I cycle. I love cycling, but I can't really push myself because the asymmetry of cycling is tough on my knee. But because rowing is single plane of motion, I was like, this is amazing. So I am a giant fan of the rower. If you haven't gotten it or tried it, please do.
Could we start a rumor you're going to become the next rowing instructor?
No, I don't. I mean, here's the thing is I love so much what I do. And again, it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm just like, I believe that other people, that's their thing. And I don't want to do everything. I'm so happy.
Okay. That's great.
Although I do love, the one thing that I have enjoyed is I now teach in the stretch category.
Yeah.
And that I have enjoyed because it's, you all know how much I love biomechanics and the nerdy stuff. It's allowed me to step, because let's be honest, there are a lot of people that won't try yoga because of what they think it is, where they'll try stretch. And so it's been nice to be able to be in that silo, because a lot of people then get to see that I do know a lot about the body, and it doesn't have to be yoga.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because there is kind of this like attachment to the word yoga, even though really yoga and stretching aren't all that different, right? I mean,
well, they are, but I think let's just leave it there.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so what is your best advice for establishing a consistent yoga and meditation schedule? Would it be the program that you have at the end of the book?
No, I think you have to look inside and ask yourself, hold on. What I recommend is ask yourself what it is you need. If you're the type of person that you need some discipline in order to progress, then set a schedule, blah, blah, blah. If you're someone who needs some freedom, then do it when you feel organically inspired to do it. So you've got to know you and do the formula that will give you what you need.
That makes sense. So on that note, do you have advice to people for how to introvert when life around you is chaotic? Like, especially if you're new to it.
Yeah, I really do believe start simple. Find something like whenever I can't introvert, whenever I get up in the morning and I'm so angry, I'm so like, I'll have a dream that it makes me so mad. It takes me a while to realize that it's not true. And for whatever reason, say something just whatever is just gone wrong in life. I'll go into the shower and I'll look at the water coming down and I will say to myself, well, at least that's the same. At least water still goes down. Gravity didn't change. And that to me, that kind of basic reality, that basic truth is enough to not fix it all, but just a moment of reset. And so it's whether you pause before you speak, you listen to something outside, you put your hand on a tree and just say to yourself, this tree does not give a rat's blank about my problems. You find something that gives you the freedom to not feel insignificant, but the freedom to take a deep breath. And that can be enough, again, not to fix the problem, but it can be enough to turn you toward the blue pearl, and possibly enough to go in a new direction, and maybe even enough to become more, and this is what I'll close with, to become more of who you already are.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for all of this, Ross. We really appreciate your time, and everybody that I have talked to has very much enjoyed your book. I enjoyed your book. I enjoyed reading it, and I've recommended it to so many people, including a tonal instructor. It was a great read, and I really appreciate it. And it's definitely something that I can use daily. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. One thing I'd like to say, if you haven't read the book yet, chapter 3 and chapter 4 are kind of the more dense philosophy. And it's the kind of thing you actually might want to sit with a while. I recommend get through 3 and 4, get to 5, because chapter 5 gets back into the daily, the quotidian, how to navigate when you're angry, when something bad happens, when something good happens. And then the last thing is that I would love, obviously, if you don't already take my class on Peloton, please do. If you don't like my class, I have a wonderful team, Aditi, Kristen, Anna, Mariana, Kira, Chelsea, Nico. And then there's this other guy, I don't know his name, but he doesn't matter. One of my favorite last stories that I'll leave you with actually is I was in the airport, and this woman comes up to me and says, oh my gosh, you're Ross Rayburn from Peloton. I'm like, yeah, I am. And she's like, I love Dennis's yoga classes. And I was like, me too. Anyway, so please let people know if you did like the book, any kind of love you can give it on social media, because this is the kind of book that actually will build momentum, I think, the more people read it. So thank you in advance. Thank you for all of this. Much love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can also find me on the socials and the Peloton leaderboard at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our Patreon, $5 a month, and you get all sorts of bonus content, and you get ad-free episodes.
And you get it first.
You get them
Usually
12, 15 hours early, so you can taunt your friends who aren't Patreon subscribers. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
and running
and rowing.
Bye.
Clip in, set yourself